This is Korith Landwalker, and this afternoon we are going to have another exciting episode of Star Citizen. Now, most streamers today are going to be engaging in a big event that occurs every year, roughly this time, the Daymar Rally, a marathon race across the surface of Daymar using land vehicles. Ursa rovers, Drake dragonflies, what else they got? Cyclone buggies, you name it. I am not doing the Daymar Rally. For starters, it would be a lot longer than what I usually have available for this stream. And secondly, well, I wouldn't get very far, actually. It'd probably be a very short stream, now that I think about it. Instead, I will be continuing the Aurora MR Challenge. So, some elaboration for anybody who is new to my stream. About a couple months ago, maybe, I decided that I wanted to try to prove definitively that you could do most of the content in the game, even buying new starships, for only the price of the minimum package to play the game. $45 for either the one of the Mustang variants or the Aurora MR. And I chose the MR because it has a little more flexibility to it than the Mustang. Mustang, good if you want to do dogfighting and nothing but dogfighting. The Aurora will give you a little bit more. And we've undergone a number of things over the last couple of months here. I've equipped the Aurora from its base package to adding on a couple extra weapons. I was able to equip the character with the standard, well, what I consider my standard loadout, which basically involves armor, undersuit. Where is my undersuit? Where is my body? I seem to be a cyborg. Well, clearly I have it equipped because it's equipped here. There's a bug that occasionally says that I'm not wearing my helmet, even though I am actually wearing my helmet. So I'm going to try to explicitly say I'm wearing my helmet. Oh, look, I have a body again. Yeah, bugs happen, and it's weird, but, you know, that's an alpha environment for you. Let's see, I was able to try my hand at some rock mining, using the Grey Cat rock to be more exact, and had a little bit of a setback on that. And finally, lastly, but definitely not leastly, what is going on with everything here? It looks like the back-end server is being hammered or something. And now I have no helmet. Luckily, I'm in atmosphere right now, so it's no big deal. And finally, we've engaged in some bounty hunts that have proven to have a fair amount of profit to them. But there are occasional issues. So why don't we look into that right now here. Thanks to the bounty hunting stuff that I've done, and thanks to the bug fixes that have come in, I am able to do a whole bunch of bounties here, including group bounties, all the way up to high-risk threats, and even very high-risk threats in groups. And you can see that a high-risk threat group is pretty profitable. 61,000 per group. Plus whatever bonuses you can get for using, say, Call to Arms, or whatever extra bonuses they slap onto you through a good reputation. And I've got a pretty good reputation with the North Rock folks. They'll give me 10% over what they tell me. And indeed, I've got that for pretty much everything except the standard Hurston Dynamics contractor. And that's only because they've only recently become available to me, thanks to bug fixes. Bug fixes do happen. I say that bugs happen a lot in this game, but they fix them too, at least as best they can. Now, the problem with said high-risk bounties is they will usually involve large vessels like a Vanguard, a Wardens, or Anvil Valkyries. Ships that have heavy shielding, high health, and I'm flying an Aurora, which is basically 4 size 1 guns. That's all well and good. But you start running into a little problem called time. Presuming that you can kill off your opponent, which is not a guarantee. The one time I did it last week, well, not last week, but 2 weeks ago, because last week I was unable to do a stream. But I had some help from some local space station turrets to help me take out the bounty. Can't rely upon that all the time. Far from it. So you're either dealing with an insane length of time to take them out, or you're not going to be able to take them out. Could go either way. And that's hurtful. Okay, Lord. The whole point of being able to get money in a timely manner, especially since we are looking to, again, go after one of the Cutlass series starships, we need to be able to make money and make it at a fairly healthy rate. So, a lesser bounty that gets killed off in, say, 10% of the time is going to net you more than something like the one we have on screen right now. And yet, you still look at those numbers and you still think, I want that money. But the Aurora is going to have trouble. So what do? Well, I'll tell you what we do. We go to the rental stop. There's a rental area in at least 3 of the major landing zones here. You'll be able to rent off this area, the Vantage Rentals at Lorville on the World of Hurston. There is a rental area in the Area 18 spaceport, Rikers Memorial Spaceport. I don't think they're Vantage, I can't remember who they are, but it's pretty obvious. And you can rent starships of a somewhat different style, shall we say, at the rental area at New Babbage Spaceport. I happen to like the one here at Lorville because, well, we're looking to find ships that can fight, and this is an area where you'll be able to fight things. So it all kind of balances out nicely. Before we get kicking off, I want to point out the upper portion of the screen here. We have profited so far over 136,000 UEC, which is not bad since most of that came from the last stream. So that should give you some high hopes for this one. On the left-hand side, we have the starting funds, which will match what I have right here on my Mobiglass. 3,817,404 AUEC. As always, that reflects stuff I do outside of the stream. Now what we'll do is at the end of the stream, we will take a look at the funds of my Mobiglass. We will check the difference between that value and the starting funds, and the result will be applied to profits made so far, where hopefully we will have an increase as opposed to a decrease. Now, with that in mind, with our profit of 136,000, we're going to take a peek at the rental shop and see what we can pick up. See if we can find something slightly more dangerous than your Aurora MR. Of course, this does require the shop to actually be operational. It may be perfectly possible that this may not be working out. And it's possible that the back-end server might be having issues thanks to the aforementioned Daymar rally race. Or it could be just that, you know, the system's being cranky. We'll try one more time, and then we're going to say, oops, can't do the rental plan after all. And it'll just make use of the Aurora and keep doing its thing. Honestly, make all the preparations to do something for a stream. And then the game decides, nah, we're not going to have that. Alright, well. Vantage rentals are going to be cranky today. So we are going to go do the Aurora flight. Where is my Aurora? It is conveniently here on Loreville. It's almost as if I planned it that way. I didn't actually, but needs must when the devil drives. Hangar 9. Since we're going to be going by it, we'll try the rental shop one more time, just on the outside chance that maybe it'll cooperate. Because, you know, the definition of insanity is keep trying the same thing, thinking that this time will be different. It's not different. Alright. Well, you had your chance. Looks like next time we will try the rental strategy. In hindsight, I'm really glad I subtitled this stream title as Not the Daymar Rally, as opposed to what I was originally going to go with, which was basically talking about the rental ships. Not all plans survive the planning stage. Now again, I have outfitted this particular Aurora with the extra guns. You'll see the guns over here on the wings, and the guns here under the cockpit area. Well, not quite under, but close enough. So I have literally the maximum amount of firepower that I can put onto this ship. Oh, let me rephrase that. I'm pretty sure. Let's take a quick peek at the vehicle loadout manager. Thank heavens, for a minute there I thought this was going to really make my life miserable. RSI, Aurora MR. Yeah, everything here is basically size 1. Size 1 mount, size 1 mount, size 1 mount. And the size 1 matter. They mean something because when you're fighting a ship that is, for example, medium-sized or large-sized, their shields are, well, medium and large size. And they can take the hits.
Welcome to Roman Space Industries. Enjoy the ride. System check.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the guns here to the same weapon group. And we're going to do something that I don't do very often, or at least I haven't done it on the stream very often. I'll do it actually a little further out because the sun glare on that MFD is a little rough, and I don't want to make things rough for the viewer to see.
You are clear to launch.
So we're going to wait until we're at least climbing out of the Loreville hangar. Unfortunately, I can't get a good third-person view on the hangar doors, so I'm going to have to take it on faith that they're opening wide enough for me to get out.
Takeoff complete.
Well, the doors aren't opening anymore, so... Up and out. And it looks like Mother Nature is getting involved a little bit, because I'm also getting some weird graphic stuff happening on my NFTs. You'll see these blinking over here. I'm not sure what's going on with these. So I might have a graphic glitch happening right now.
Thank you. Please visit again.
Because it's not supposed to look like that. Now while we're working to get out of atmosphere, I'm going to do a little something here. Over here we have the power MFD. It shows how much power you're using, maximum power you can draw, and distribution, where you can put power to weapons, shields, engines, which may or may not actually do anything. Don't really know for a fact. But more interesting is the tab here that says items. And you'll note that we have the capability of overclocking certain items. And apparently I'm having no trouble with... Here we go. And what I want to do is I'm going to overclock my guns. That will allow them to theoretically fire faster, hit harder, do more damage. But the price tag is that overclocking your equipment can harm the weapons. Not to mention the threat of overheating said weapons. There we go. And sometimes it's a little slow to click properly. And I wonder how much of this has to do with rally server load stuff. Okay, I'm high enough out of atmosphere that I can pretty much jump anywhere. So let's do some of the bounty hunting work here. We're going to start out simple. We're going to do a standard high risk. This is a large multi-crew craft, average support, decent payout, and we'll see whether or not we can deal with the opponent as quickly as we would like. And, as usual, we will take a call to arms for bonuses. We always want to take call to arms so that we can get some free cash if we choose to do so. If you want to kill someone, you might as well be paid. Yes, that's pretty mercenary, but hey, I didn't make the bounty system. I just have to play with it. Now, all the weapons on the Aurora are gimbaled weapons. 2 of them were naturally gimbaled. The other 2, I bought the gimbals. When you're dealing with size 1 weapons on a size 1 slot, why not grab the gimbals? Okay, there's money involved, but since I was able to do that on, say, day 1 of the challenge, it's not exactly what you would call high expense. Now, there's some work being done, and I don't know if I've heard mixed reviews on this. That on some bounty locations, the enemy will be here immediately now. However, as you can tell, that's not consistent. I've only heard other people telling me that it's happened to them, but it's never happened to me. That said, current patches on the test server, which are apparently, shall we say, leaked, indicate that this wait will no longer be an issue. That could be good or bad. But for now, at least until they kick out the patch, and that next patch will have a lot more interesting things. The Aurora MR challenge may very well take a pause once that patch comes out, because I'll probably want to show off that new big thing. Alright, target is acquired. Target is An Anvil Valkyrie, which is exactly the ship I did not want to see. Because the Valkyrie is the one that I had that space station help on. That said, I did not, at the time, have overclocked weapons. This time, I do. Okay, he's closing in, and he's probably going to be able to start shooting me before I can start shooting him. And the big problem we're going to have with this guy is that he's going to have friends showing up any time. And when that happens, it might get ugly. Okay, I'm taking hits, and I can't really afford to take those kind of hits. Because they have better guns than I do. And my ship is basically all size 1 stuff, and all of their stuff is substantially better than size 1. Now that said, the overclock weapons do seem to be doing damage. Unfortunately, the next worst case scenario has popped up. More hostiles have shown up. So this mission has a high chance of ending in tears. I'm definitely doing something to this guy. The high-risk target does seem to be causing me a little bit of a problem here. Now you'll notice that I've gotten a lot of talk about my weapon systems here from the computer here. That's a danger when you're overclocking your weapons. So far, so good. I do seem to be my attack is having effect. I can't deny that things are working, but it is taking far entirely too long. He's generating the shields pretty quickly too, which is not what I wanted to see. Whoa, too close. The good news is, so far, none of these guys have managed to really get a heavy shot on me. If the AI had any ability to shoot straight, I'd probably be dead now. Oh, not good. Okay, I am flying with apparently no more shields. So the only thing keeping me alive at the moment, it seems, is the fact that I can move better than they can. And he's still kicking, still fighting, still in pretty good shape. And if he's in good shape, that means I am not. Now you can see why I didn't want to do this kind of thing against the Valkyrie. It is really doing a much better job. Uh-oh, that's not good. Missiles are coming in, and if missiles are coming in, then I am probably going to... Well, maybe I didn't. Maybe I was able to get the countermeasures out in time. Yeah, you can see that the guy does not look like he's too intimidated by me. Just for giggles, he's only 74% down as far as his health goes. We've had this nice long fight here, and that's as good as I've gotten him. That should tell you something right there. Now, if I was able to rent a ship, I would probably be able to do a little bit better. And I'm going to emphasize a little bit. Let's see if I can get some missiles. I usually don't use missiles.
Target acquired.
And I don't think I'm... No, it looks like the range became a problem.
Weapons system critical.
I was hoping... Ooh, he's getting a little too close there. Gotta admit, this has been an entertaining fight.
Weapons system critical.
What I really want is for this guy to get far enough that I can start popping the missiles I've got. I only have a couple missiles,
Weapons system critical.
but I can't help but think that maybe they might help.
Weapons system critical.
Oh, something just hit me. Oh, more missiles.
System critical.
Toss off countermeasures and hope that the missiles don't kill me. Oh, whoa! And there we go. Well, so you can see the Aurora is perhaps not the best vessel to use against a high-risk target. Simple fact is they have more firepower, and more importantly, they have more protection. And that protection, I joined the vehicle Valkyrie. Boy, they must have vouchers said got out of it now. Hey, Cap, yeah, that was definitely an ouch. Yes. Well, maybe I'll be lucky and the rental services will be working by the time I get back down to the spaceport. And then we can demonstrate the benefits of improving your starship, as in specific starships, against opponents like that. But at the moment, it does appear that the high-risk threat targets are just a little too tough for a tiny Aurora to handle. And that's okay. That's okay. Because you really can't expect every ship to be the most awesome ship out there. Every ship has its weaknesses. It's just that the Aurora has a lot of them. This is why the Aurora is a starter ship. And that is why we are engaging in this challenge, to demonstrate that it is possible to improve on just about every aspect, including getting a better ship. Now, admittedly, 136K is not going to get you a whole lot as far as a new ship goes. That's okay. The whole point here is to accumulate the funds as best as we can. We've now seen that the high-risk targets are probably not the best way to go. We've had a lot better success on the medium-risk targets, so we will be centering on those guys when we fly the Aurora. But if we can get that rental terminal to cooperate, we'll have a couple extra options to play with. And we'll find out shortly. If not, well, the good news is that the Aurora is something that claims pretty quickly. But first things first. Run, 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 run. I know there are people who complain about having to go all the way from the train to the spaceport, but I kind of like it. It gives you that. It's a real feeling. You don't magically transport somewhere. You've got to get there. Okay, Vantage Rentals, are you working any better now? Yes, you are. All right. Here we go. We have a whole bunch of ships that are capable of being rented one day at affordable prices. For example, the Aegis Avenger Titan is kind of a cargo hauling kind of thing. Not my first choice. Further down the list, however, we have the Anvil Arrow, slightly under 20,000. And this is a ship that I believe might be able to do the kind of job we want to do on that Valkyrie. Now I'll explain why when we get there, but I want to point out a couple other possibilities too. We have the RSI Constellation Andromeda, and I'm almost tempted to use this. They've done some improvements on the Constellation series with the last patch, and I have not tested that personally. I just don't want to test that today. It does have a fairly impressive weapons array available to the pilot. It's even more impressive if you have people to man turrets. Well, theoretically impressive. And finally, at 100,000, we have the Vanguard Warden, a heavy fighter which will turn the Valkyrie into dust with little effort. Theoretically. If you're a halfway competent flyer. Which could go either way with me. But we are going to instead rent the Arrow. We're looking at a little under 20,000. Hey, Useless Fiend! Fiendy, welcome to the stream. As you may have seen by now, I am yeah, I gotta do something about my Streamlabs stuff sooner or later. There's some settings on there that I haven't quite nailed down yet. But yes, I am streaming Star Citizen, and I am, to recap, I am engaging in what I'm calling the Aurora MR Challenge. My personal bit of proof that you can buy the cheapest package in the game, $45, and still be able to do pretty much all the content, up to and including even getting the larger ships. Or, as I'm about to demonstrate, renting them. Space. I'm in fact about to rent the Anvil Arrow, which is a light fighter, but it is a substantially better light fighter than the Aurora MR. Among other things, it's designed exactly to do that. So we are going to hop over to the terminals here and grab a hold of... Now you'll notice I have a couple Anvil Arrows in here. One was a pledge, one was a loaner ship for something. I have no idea what, because I don't actually have any of the ships that it would be a loaner for. And the one that I've just rented. Why did I do it that way? Because this way, it'll work with the whole profit made so far section when I do the math later at the end of the stream. Hangar 6. And it has all the stock weapons. My arrows are not really stock anymore, and I didn't want to go through the headache of restoring them. So, I've been able to get 136,000 UEC through the last number of weeks by hook and crook, by doing bounties, doing ground missions, doing deliveries. I cannot say I got any from mining stones on planets, since evil bug destroyed my rock effectively, and all that money for the rentals went poof. Occupational hazard. These things happen. So let's power this on. And let's take a quick look at the loadout for the stock arrow. Game has sure come a long way since the last time you watched a stream of it. Oh, the game keeps advancing leaps and bounds every quarter, it seems. I'm continually impressed by it. Alright, weapons. In addition to missile racks, we have more missiles than we have with the Aurora. We also have size 3 gimbal mounts, and these gimbal mounts will allow me to use size 2 weapons, in this case, size 2 Gatlings. I also have a turret up top with a pair of size 1s. So we are looking at a slightly more potent loadout than the Aurora. In addition, the arrow is just a lot more nimble. The problem, however, is that it's currently using size 1 shield. It doesn't have multiple size 1 shields, it just has the one, which means it is fast, it is sleek, it is deadly, and it is made out of balsa wood. So the moral of the story is, don't get hit. Now, the question is it good enough to handle that Anvil Valkyrie that blew me into tiny little bits very recently? Let's find out. It should be wide enough to take off.
Landing gear raised.
The arrow is also pretty speedy. Yeah, this fighter looks extremely cool. I agree completely, Fiendy. This is my favorite fighter.
Thank you. And please visit again.
It has its disadvantages, but I just love it so much. Unfortunately, I'm being afflicted by another one of those bugs I've mentioned on any number of occasions. As I've probably mentioned on previous streams, Star Citizen does have more bugs than the Starship Troopers movie. It's an alpha. You live with it. Ordinarily, I could get it back by turning my power off, but I really don't think I want to do that while I'm in the middle of a gravity well. Horrible things will happen. So we're going to hold off until I'm high enough that I can engage my quantum drive. We're going to try to engage my quantum drive. Okay, I have a feeling I might have to go around a long way for this. Okay, sometimes you can't get the direct... Yeah, plummeting to one's doom should be avoided. I agree completely. At least one of the folks in my org could tell you that I have demonstrated the ability to splatter on the surface of a planet at high velocity with no problem whatsoever. I was showing off. I deserved it. Oops, turned off the quantum drive. Turn that thing back on. If I can get to this orbital marker, I should be out of the gravity well, and I should be able to turn the power on and off and get my radar back. Because I do want the radar working. Power off. Power on. There we go. That's what I want to see. And now I should be able to target this beacon. Ah! There we go. And that is a pretty low marker there. Despite the looks, I probably will not splatter through the planet doing this. I'll be skipping the upper atmosphere. See, nothing to it. Now, I could overclock the weapons on here, but I'm not going to. But I am going to link the weapons to one mouse button so that I don't have to worry about focusing on multiple mouse buttons while I'm fighting. And we'll have one more jump, and then we'll be back into the mess. Alright. When last we encountered these guys, we had the Valkyrie and a whole bunch of reinforcements. Can the arrow handle this kind of abuse? Let's find out. There we are. Unfortunately, he's not the main target. He's the main target. So we're going to immediately start taking advantage of arrow speed. It looks like I'm redlining, but I'm really not. What I want to do is I want to get close enough that I don't have to worry about, say, missiles coming in. Like I said, the arrow is a great fighter, but it is made out of balsa wood. A missile will kill it. Now you can see that I'm already doing better with this fight than I did with Aurora. Size 2 guns do make a difference. Of course, the problem is my speed also makes it really easy to accidentally collide with the bad guy's ship. That's a problem. And the fact that I'm not overclocking my weapons means I can usually keep shooting until he's no longer in range, or he flies too close to me that I have to move out of the way. There's a lot more red on that ship now than there was when I was fighting with the Aurora.
Shields hit.
Now, the joy of the arrow here is I'll also be able to disengage if I want at a fairly high rate of speed. But I want to pour on the weapons until I start seeing something like that. Bounty is down. Everybody else is basically free money now thanks to the call to arms mission. Those guns make a very satisfying sound. You are not kidding. There are a lot of guns that are available in the game. I'm using the defaults. I can't change the loadout on a rented vehicle. But these guys are half ballistic, half energy weapon. Basically 2 of each. I'm shooting a Freelancer Miss right now, which is a missile boat. It does have guns, but they're not great guns. And he is certainly not having a good day here. There are some guns that have a really satisfying brap sound, but they are not on this particular vessel. Ironically, it's the Valkyrie that has a really satisfying brap sound with its guns.
Target destroyed.
Another down. And we've got a guy who's right in front of me. He's flying the Saber, stealth fighter. But stealth is not so good when I can see you. Uh-oh. That was not a good sound. Now, that said, the Saber does have some durability to it. Just not enough. Okay, next target, Great Buccaneer. Heavy on the firepower. Not so good with the armor. But it is fast and maneuverable, so it does take a little bit more effort to take it down. It looks like I've got a friendly in the area. My radar shows a white mark. That indicates that it's probably not a hostile. In fact, if it's white, that usually means it's an AI controlled and friendly. Possibly Hurston security. You really don't want to go, do you? Oh, language. Now, honestly, if I wanted to maximize my cache volume today, I would probably not be playing... Oops. Asteroid. Let's not hit the asteroid. I would probably not be playing tag with these guys. But given the trouble they gave me in the Aurora, I feel the need for payback. Whoa, desync. Yes, yes, yes. They all say that when they're about to blow up. Looks like I've taken... No, I didn't take off a wing. I was hoping I took off a wing. Yeah, I'm not really sure why I'm spending all this time trying to take this guy out. Kill, kill, kill. Yes. Maybe that's a simple reason. Oh, there we go. And look, oh, no, the other hostile's still there. He's flying a Cutlass Black. So let's remove him from consideration. I don't see the friendly anymore, so I'm going to guess that... Oh, nope, there he is. Just out of curiosity, who's the friendly? Gladius? Oh, that's actually a person. Well, that means that this guy's probably actually doing a bounty of his own, and I don't want to interfere with him. I wouldn't want anybody taking my kills. I'm not going to take his. If it were security, it would probably have said Hurston Security. Okay, so that took a little longer than one would have liked. But on the bright side, we'll go to the history here. It did earn us 11,000 credits, which pays for half the rental all by itself. So we are going to take a look at some of the medium bounties, and we're going to go after a group warrant here. This will get me 26,000 credits. And since it's medium risk, that means it should be basically easy kills for the arrow. Or are they? Let's find out. First, though, I've got to get a route set properly. There we go. To the moon of Magda. How long do you get the rental for? It varies depending on how long you want to rent it for. For this particular rental, I rented for 1 day because, you know, I do this every week. It's silly to spend a huge amount of money for something that I don't need for 6 of the 7 days of the week. So I rented for 1 day, but you can rent for 3 days, 7 days, or 1 month. This was a little under 20,000 UEC to rent for 1 day. Now, the price tag on it in-game, I can't recall the numbers for, but I'm pretty sure that I'd be at least halfway to being able to pay for the arrow outright. I'd have to, well, you know what, that's something that can be checked later on. I believe they sell arrows at the new deal shop at Loreville on Planet Hurston there, where I rented this. We can always check the price tag the next time I blow up. And you never know when my next explosion is going to be. Now again, we're going to have to wait for the bounty to show up. Theoretically, this will be fixed with the next patch, but who knows? Now, I'm also going to admit that I'm not being anywhere near as fancy on my flying as I could be on the arrow. On the lower left area of the HUD, down here, you'll notice that I've got something that says CPLD with its marker here. That's saying that I'm flying coupled. What this basically means is that I'm flying the ship as you would expect a fighter jet to fly, in an atmosphere. Basically, I would turn, I could strafe. Basically, think X-Wings, TIE fighters, that sort of thing. Now, if I were to remove the coupling, then we're dealing with Newtonian physics. Object going forward is going to keep going forward, even if I turn my ship around, where I'm flying backward and shooting behind me. The arrow is fast enough and maneuverable enough, and frankly good enough, that that's a pretty good way to fly. You can make those turns faster, pursue opponents faster, but I'm going into this similar in what the flight manner as a newer player. And I don't tend to decouple if I'm flying a heavier ship. But I will do it for ships like this one. Because the Arrow or the Gladius, which is another highly maneuverable ship. Okay, Drake Buccaneer. Dangerous, but not overly so. And most of the medium risk threats are going to be Buccaneer class. Alright, one target down. Let's straighten ourselves out and go to the next target before any friends of his show up. On a group mission, I will usually not go after the ads, and the reason for that is that they will not get me any money. Because they're still associated with this mission. This is a group bounty. You can see that I've got a timer counting down and a number of targets listed. 2 out of 3 remaining. Now, once the third guy is down, any ads are no longer associated with the mission, and as a result, they will be worth money. But strictly speaking, if you're looking to earn as much money as possible in a short period of time, you're probably better off actually ignoring the ads, just leaving and grabbing the next mission. From a purely monetary standpoint, that is the way to go. Now you'll also notice that we occasionally get these messages about people requesting combat assistance. And those are pretty neat to do, but for raw volume of money, this right now is the way to go. That said, if this is all you do with your time in the game, you might get bored to death. That's why I tend to mix it up with other missions and other activities. But today we want to see the Arrow put through its paces. And because all the money to rent the Arrow was done in the Aurora, this still fits under the Aurora challenge, even though I am flying a ship that is definitely not the Aurora. Okay, I'm going to stop the vessel from moving right now, but and of course the moment I stop, the target becomes acquired. Bogey found. Who is he? If I put my target on, it's another Buccaneer. They are making my life simple, that's for certain. So once he's in the range of the guns, which should be any time now, as the Ghostbusters would say, light 'em up. Oh, it looks like his friends are showing up a little sooner than the last guy. Didn't quite take him out as quickly as I would have liked to. Fly, baby, fly. There we go. Now again, taking out those guys, they're not going to net me any money. So I'm going to go away from them at top speed of 1.2 kilometers per second. By the time those guys turn around, I'm already gone. And their odds of catching up to me, to put it simply, suck. Okay, I'm going to drop my velocity down a bit again while I line up for my third target. So you can see, flying the Arrow really improves your kill rate. It's faster ship than the Aurora, it's more maneuverable, and more importantly, it's got bigger guns. And the bigger guns matter. Now, if you're not renting the Arrow, if you say purchase it, you will be able to modify the components like the shields and the weapons and all that And one thing that some people will do is they will take out the gimbals so that they can put on a size larger weapon. And that works pretty well. And you're not limited to the type of guns either. One of the big meta weapons right now are scatter guns, which are kind of bugged in the player's favor at the moment. I've always preferred the repeaters for most of my targets because most of my targets are fast and maneuverable, and you want to be able to stream a set of shots on them. For large targets, cannons and probably scatterguns might be the way to go. So we're just going to wait for Forrest Mangano to show up and demonstrate the error of his ways. And there he is. And he's flying a Cutlass Black, so we have something a little bit more intimidating than the Buccaneers. Cutlass is a medium-sized ship. There are certain members of my org who swear by them. I kind of swear at them. But I will concede that the goal of the Aurora MR Challenge is to earn the funds to purchase one of these starships, so I probably should not belittle them too much, eh? It's a medium ship, it's got medium components, it can take hits. But for all of that, it is not what you would call a highly maneuverable sort of ship. And that makes it relatively easy for an arrow to go after, unless, of course, said arrow crashes into the guy, which I don't want to do. We've already done that with the Valkyrie today. We don't need to do a repeat.
Target destroyed.
And there he goes. And now that the bounty targets are all cleared out, we'll start going after the free guys. Locate bounties, done. That means my money should be coming in momentarily. 28,000 UEC. That alone would pay for the arrow and make some profit.
Target destroyed.
500 for him. 500 tends to be relatively low crime stat. There's 5 levels of crime stat in the game. 1 to 3 will give a payout of roughly 500.
Bogey.
4, I think, will give 1,000, and 5 will give 1,500. When you compare that to the amount I get for the bounties, that's pretty pitiful. But if you're going to kill these guys anyway, why not? I will say that the freelancer this here is taking more of a beating than Cutlass Black. Just saying. Ooh, I just bounced off something. And my guns are still shooting. But that's okay, though. That's okay, because that means I can go to the new deal shop and show what I was talking about as far as the price tag for the arrow. I'm pretty sure they sell arrows for sale at the new deal. Ah! Okay, remember what I was saying about bugs? Here's another one. I should not be floating in space like this. Okay, graphics are rendering in. Oh, there we go. Your guns must be tired. That's why it's able to hold up better. Sure, if that's what you want to tell yourself, Cap. Cap is one of those believers that the Cutlasses are superior to the freelancers. And we allow him to think that. But I am a big fan of the freelancer, and that's all there is to it. The Cutlass has only one advantage that I can tell, and that is that it has a medical bed variant. If we had a medical bed variant for the freelancers, then clearly the freelancers would be superior there too. Okay, let's be objective here. If you're a fighter, cutlasses are better. If you're a cargo hauler, the freelancers are better. That's about really all you need to know. The thing is that the freelancer is a cargo hauler that can fight, and the cutlass is a fighting ship that can haul cargo. And I think that tells you pretty much all you need to know. Multiple exit points. Yes, the multiple exit points, including the ones that will kill you when you try to get on board someone else's. I haven't forgotten that trying to get on board of Cap's cutlasses often ends up with me being dead. Try to go up his ramp, and all of a sudden the cutlass kills me. Plus, he also neglects to mention that those other two ways in and out is mostly out unless you're out in space, because they're well above the ground and you can't jump up into them if you're on the surface. Nope, Freelancer still wins, man. But yes, I will admit that I have a slight bias on that sort of thing. And honestly, as far as I'm concerned, both lose to the Mercury Star Runner, but although they do have the advantage of being able to have better fuel efficiency than the Star Runner.
Now arriving Metro Center. Please watch your step when disembarking the train.
Alright. Tisa Spaceport.
Trespassing or attempting to trespass on stage track is a serious and dangerous offense.
And yes, I also recognize by doing these little tours and running around and all that, it cuts just a little bit into the profit volume. But then again, if you're doing this game only for the cash, why the hell are you playing it? The whole point is to have fun, right? And seeing what there is to see is a method of having fun. So, I spoke of New Deal, and this is where I was talking about. New Deal is the spaceship stop on Lorville, on Hurston. And you can see that they've got a bit of a display area out here. If you go over out here to the left, for example, you'll see some of the larger acquisitions available. But first, over to the left here, we have a standard Mustang Beta, one of the various fighter starships. You'll see that it's 404,000. 404,000. Okay, I might have slightly... I seem to have really guessed wrong on the Aero price, because I'm pretty sure the Aero is more expensive than the Mustangs. Well, that's what I get for trying to go off of memory. And Cap now has a crime stat, so he's going to need a pickup from prison later on. It was Legend's fault. Yeah, Legend tends to bring people into prison situations on a regular basis. On the left here, we have the Constellation Phoenix, which is the luxury version of the Constellation, at a casual 5,658,800 UEC. Little bit pricey. But if you're talking pricey, you want to look at the Hammerhead. The Hammerhead gunship, sitting at 12,459,900 UEC. Some of these ships are best used by multiple people because some of them do not have gun controls under the pilot's hands. That's important. So, we'll take a look at the showroom in here. On the right-hand side, we have the Origin 85X, a snub ship for a mere 574,000 credits. We have one of the Aurora variants, the LX, at 245,000. And we have over here the Misk Prospector, a one-man mining vessel, at a little over 2 million. However, the important part is that is not the only ships available to buy here. Over here, there is a terminal. And I just want to point out one of my pet peeves about New Deal. As far as I'm aware, this is the only terminal where you can buy ships. That's insane. I feel like they should have at least a second terminal around here somewhere to do this. But they have just this one. Yeah, it's your annoyance too. I get that. But, and this will come as no surprise, I was not consulted. So here we are. So, Anvil. Look, I guess they don't sell the arrow here, so I can't show how much they cost here. So I guess the Anvil arrow is something that you have to buy over at, I suspect, Astro Armada at Area 18 on the World of Arccore. Sometimes the plan does not work the way it should. Story of my life. But since we're here, we can at least take a look at some of the other ships. Mustang Alpha, which is the other starter ship that you can get for $45 on the Pledge store. If you want to buy it in-game, it's 251,000 credits. Easily doable. I've got a couple other interesting... Let's see. We have ground vehicles. Tumbrel Cyclones, which are some of the vehicles you would be using in the Daymar rally, which is currently happening right now on the moon of Daymar. At least I'm pretty sure it's right now. I can't actually check that at the moment, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. Multiple Vanguard variants, Pure Fighter, and a dropship. My favorite, the Freelancer, although it seems that they are still putting this one together since it doesn't seem to have its outer shell attached. Or the DUR. Or the Max. The Max is the big hauling version of the Freelancer. Wider cargo bay, more cargo capacity. Oh, they've got the Miss here too, which is basically the missile boat. We can buy the essential Aurora with the profit that we've made today. Well, over the last 6 weeks, shall we say. We're not going to because it's... I'm not really sure why this is even here, to be honest. Your Aurora MR is the cheap package, and this is the essential one, and I'm not sure exactly what improvement this would have over the MR. Ursa Rover, another vehicle being used in the Daymar rally. Big, hulking, armored, armed. All-terrain vehicle though, so that's a big plus. And I think that's pretty much the... Oh, they do have the other two Vanguard variants here. The Sentinel and the Harbinger. Bomber and EMP warfare. Grey Cat Rock. That's the mining vessel. And I'm a little short of the price tag on that with the profits made so far, but given the trouble we've been having with rock mining lately, I may want to hold off on that. And you know, I could have sworn that I also saw... No, I guess I didn't. So there's a wide variety of vessels you can buy just at New Deal. There are other ship purchase locations. Area 18 has Astro Armada, and you go to the planetoid of Daymar, you will be able to go to Teach's Ship Shop, which specializes in Drake starships, which includes the aforementioned cutlasses, and therefore will be one of the places that we will go to take care of that. We're going to file a claim for the arrow here. And then we're going to... Well, actually, then we're going to wait 2 minutes because I refuse to pay the expedited fee and then wait. If I'm going to wait the time anyway, I'm going to let that expedited fee drop a little bit. if I had been smart, I would have done this before going into the New Deal. These things happen. I never claimed to be the perfect player here. Now, we've also got here at the showroom floor the Origin M50, a racing starship, and hopefully somewhere along the line, the whole racing thing will be back in the game. Right now, it's more of a planned concept than anything else. The racing, not the ship. The ship is fine. Now you'll see, we're going to take a little tour around here, that we have the spaceport out here in the big windows, and if you're really, really lucky, you might be able to see, yes, we can see a ship coming in for a landing right in the center of the screen. Looks like, I'm going to say it's a Vanguard, probably, from the silhouette of the shadow, but I can't tell it for sure. Can I get a better look? Yeah, I think it looks, yeah, it's got the engines, it's got to be the one of the Vanguards. I can't tell for sure which variant. Oh, and we have a Freelancer taking off. Cool timing, that. And these are not AI images or anything like that. These are other players taking off and coming in for landings. So it's nice to be able to see that kind of thing. I think that's a big deal for any spaceport, to be able to have windows like that. I mean, you have that kind of thing at airports where you could watch planes taking off and landing all the time, what we laughingly refer to as real life. And I think that helps really impress you, especially when you're younger. Okay, we're going to spend 2,900 of my hard-earned credits to expedite my claim so that I can use the arrow now. Hangar 9. Now, I occasionally wonder, where do they stick all these ships when they store them? I mean, for a place like here at Lorville, that's not entirely surprising. I mean, it's a big planet. You've got plenty of room to work with. But what do you do at spaceports? They don't have the space. Where do they go? It's a mystery. Some things you just don't question. Of course, then again, it also occurs to me that, well, no, it doesn't work there either. I don't know. I'll let more lore-proficient individuals try to figure that one out. In the meantime, we will power on the engine. I'm going to turn everything off and on again because my radar again is, there we go, blocked out on me. I don't know what the problem with the radars are these days. Aside from, you know, them actually being a problem. Check my guns, put them on the same mouse key, same weapon group. Open up the communications so that they will open the door.
You are clear to launch.
And I am clear to launch. Well, clear being a relative term, since technically the door is still closed and opening, and therefore if I were to launch at that moment, it would be the world's fastest takeoff. It would also be the world's fastest landing, by virtue of the large heap of scrap metal that would be falling down to the ground again.
Takeoff complete.
Up. And out. And I'll just take a quick glance over here.
Landing gear raised.
Right over there in front of me is the Hurston Dynamics building. This structure is big enough to be seen from low orbit.
Thank you. And please visit again.
And I will prove that. Well, first I'm going to get out of atmosphere high enough so that I don't have to worry about quantum travel issues. And thanks to being relatively aerodynamic, I can actually increase my velocity a significant amount here. Depending on the ship you're flying, you might be limited to like 200 meters a second or even less if you're flying an effective brick, like, say, I don't know, the Aurora MR. But the Arrow, it will just slice through the atmosphere. Alright, now for the next step. I'm going to go to... where are you? There we go. Everest Harbor. Everest Harbor is not quite in geosynchronous orbit above Lorville, but it's close. And the only reason I'm going here is because I want to turn around. Oh no, oh no. Oh, for a minute there I thought I had a crash coming in. Still might happen. There we are, in the middle of the screen. The Hurston Dynamics building that I had just spoken of. In other words, it's big. We are currently over 100 kilometers away from that location. So that should give you an indication of size. But for now, we are going to return to the joys of watching starships explode. We have a group MRT warrant, so why don't we go after them again? Gotta make the money. Now, one thing that is worth pointing out here, and I think I might be able to point it out here. No. Sometimes, these rendezvous beacons, two of them will be in the same spot. In other words, it is perfectly possible for you to be dealing with two sets of targets at the same time. That's the kind of thing that makes your day interesting. Especially if you're doing something like very high-risk targets. That's when it gets, I guess, terrifying is a good word. Because you got large ships, you've got lots of ads, and moments like that, it makes you wonder why you got out of bed that morning. I haven't seen that happen too much lately, though. I'm pretty sure it's still happening. I'm pretty sure it's just luck. So, 45 minutes to take out 3 bounties. Should be easily doable. Of course, the last time I said something was relatively easy, I ended up hitting an asteroid or something like that, so I probably shouldn't make remarks like that too much. I've often said since this latest patch come out that bounty hunting is really bounty waiting, at least for AI opponents. Player targets are probably more hunting than waiting. But hunting players is, let's just say it's as different as night and day. And leave it at that. I've never really engaged all that much against player bounties, except on very rare occasions, and certainly not since this patch came rolling through. Which changed the way that works, too. Oops. More details on that momentarily. First, we need to erase this cutlass. There we go. For a minute there, I thought I was Alright, here he comes, and here I come, and I'm going to start strafing to the side here so that he doesn't do something. Oh, let's turn on my gimbals too. It behooves you to be maneuvering a lot when you're fighting a ship in an arrow, because again, the shields are not great. Oops, oops, oops. No, 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 no. Ah, that got a little too close. You do not want to. Oh, well, it looks like that guy discovered the hazards of hitting an asteroid. He's still intact, though. And looks like his friends are showing up. So let's get out of dodge before they all start ganging up on me. Take your shots on me. Go ahead. Because I'm going to be out of there before you get a chance to take your shots. Set my target on map. Spool up the quantum drive. And align myself to my target. And jump. So we are out of that possible problem and on to the next one. Time remaining 40 minutes. So that fight took, well, including the travel to get there, 5 minutes to deal with. Less than that, technically. So if all goes really, really well, you can expect to make a payout every 15 minutes. Whoa, whoa, visual bug. Ah, my eyes! I'm also not facing the right target. Oops. Alright, flying further. He is now aware of me. I'm aware of him. And he's got friends who are aware of me too. No, so that's not good. I was hoping to have a little bit more time before he had friends show up. So this just got a little more entertaining. Not in a good way. Alright. I'm going to try to get myself out of here before these guys start getting their shots off on me. Strafe a bit so that they don't key on me. And jump to the orbital marker and out of the way. Third target. Different moon. Different rendezvous beacon. And jump. It is remotely possible that this set of bounties could be dealt with in 10 minutes. So let's do some elementary math here. 20,000, 6 completions. That's 120K right there if you in 1 hour. If everything goes right, of course. Always important. Detail that. Everything has to go right. $120 an hour. That will get you to your million pretty quickly. And after that, getting to 2 million is not much of an extra stretch. And once you get to that 2 million, Oh yeah, and everything always goes right. Yes, yes. In fact, I don't think you were here when I was mentioning earlier my little side, not this, let's just say my little oops a few weeks back. I was doing some ground mining on a ground vehicle, and thanks to a couple annoying bugs, I was unable to actually sell the materials that I'd earned on that vehicle. So not only did I lose the profit I would have made with the ores I'd mined, I also lost the money that I spent to rent the not only the mining vehicle, but the ship I took to carry that vehicle. So these things happen. But as every good villain would say, that was a mere setback. After all, being able to come back from adversity is always a trait to be admired. And heaven knows, there's a lot of ways to have adversity hit you in this game. If you have a server crash, for example, during a major cargo run, you could literally be out hundreds of thousands easily. A lot more than that if you had a really good day. Of course, if you had a really good day, you wouldn't be having a server crash. This guy does not want to stay in my crosshairs. How rude. Oh, speaking of rude. There we go. Bounty down. Just for the entertainment value, let's take out his friends. They'll give me money now. Not much, but they'll give me some. Oops. I think, looks like smart guy just managed to bounce off of something solid. Gotta watch for those asteroids and other bits of metal floating around. It never goes smooth. How come it never goes smooth? Thank you, Malcolm Reynolds.
Bogey.
What? Another bogey? I'm getting friends wherever I go. And at some point, one has to ask oneself, is it really worth it trying to kill this guy? Oh, something just happened. I think somebody just crashed into the metal thing again. Curse him! He's robbed me of the profit margin I would get from killing him. Now these guys are flying Hornets, which are pretty good. I'm a fan of Hornets. They're medium fighters. Not as fast and agile, but they hit a lot harder than the Arrow. Of course, they do have to hit. All that said, the AI opponent is not exactly what you would call great shakes. Oh, more targets. Oh, he's still alive. I saw something explode and assumed that was him. I guess it was just a part. One of his components, maybe. Okay, this is taking entirely too long. Must make profit. Profit matters more than... Well, okay, at the moment, profit matters more than the entertainment value. That will not always be the case. It's just currently the case. Okay. For giggles, let's grab another high-risk threat bounty. And we're not going to do the very high-risk... Yeah, we're going to... Oops, someone's catching up with me. How embarrassing. Buccaneer. Okay, Buccaneers are fast. I'm not surprised. I don't particularly want to stick around you though, so we're going to... Oh, missile warning. That's not good. Okay, how about that? The countermeasures actually worked. I suppose I should explain the countermeasures. There's two kinds of countermeasures that are available to starships. The first kind of countermeasure is decoy. These are basically the kind of flare kind of thing that you see off of most jet fighter movie things. Toss off a bunch of decoys and hope that the missile hits them. That's one thing. And I've got 40 of them, if you'll see them on my lower left down here. Well, I had 48 or something like that. I've obviously been using some of them. You can adjust that number. There's a number 1 next to it, and I can adjust that number so that when I trigger it, it will fire out multiple decoys. Now, the other one below that is noise. I haven't used that one nearly as much, but apparently it confuses sensors. And not necessarily just missile sensors, but also ship sensors. I haven't proven that one beyond a shadow of a doubt. I've not used it very much, but it's possible. Okay, now that I'm out of harm's way, let's deal with that very high-risk bounty here. Preferably one of the ones that are near me. Okay, we'll go to the other one around this moon first. Why am I doing the very high-risk bounty? Because I want to demonstrate how doable it is, how fast it takes in a stock arrow. If one is able to do this fast, then you start thinking, hey, maybe this is the way to go to earn some money. I mean, let's take another look at the contract here. While I was interrupted there. It's 61,000 UEC. That is a nice bit of credit. But the thing you have to remember here is that you will probably not be able to take out the target before the ads come in. So you have to be ready to move and move fast. In fact, I'm going to make some preparations right now. I'm going to go to my map and target the next beacon and set the route to that. I'm going to try to target the next beacon and set the route to that. So that when I kill off the primary target, I can get out fast. Because, as I mentioned, speed is everything. At least if you're trying to, complete bounties quickly. Anvil Valkyrie. We've already seen that this guy could be a tough nut to crack, and this time, I don't have the advantage of having softened him up with the Aurora first. If you could say the Aurora softened him up at all, to be honest. I expect better, but you know what? Oh, I'm hitting invisible rocks. Problems. Okay, something got hit. I have a sneaking feeling an asteroid had not spawned in and decided to spawn in there. Yeah, because that was way too big an asteroid to have missed. And we seem to be a little stuck on the explosion screen. Yeah, these things, it never goes smooth. How come it never goes smooth? It bears repeating, doesn't it? Well, that was graphic. Yes, kerblooey. NEM, I just had this horrible nightmare. I was flying a ship and an asteroid wrapped around me. Oh, at least the habitation units have spawned in properly, so I'm not having to look out into distant space. Yeah, I was doing pretty well there, except for the minor detail of the fact that, we hadn't shot anybody yet. But, these things happen. You gotta expect little surprises to happen. Nothing's perfect. And it's not like there's a horrible death penalty available yet. I say yet because did I get enough to pay for the rental? Oh, yes. That one group mission we did with the medium ships, that alone paid for the rental for the Arrow. Now, I think that perhaps next week we will up the game a bit. We were looking at some of the rentals, and we might decide to try the heavy fighter, the Vanguard Warden, which rentals for 1 day at 100,000. Which sounds awful, but you saw that very high-risk bounty there with 600,000? Not 600,000. Oh, I wish. 60,000. You could make up the amount of cash for that. Oh, please, get me in the train, get me in the train. Just made it. Yes, still profitable. It was still profitable. It still made money. Perhaps not as much as I might have liked. But, if I'm not exactly doing this hardcore, otherwise I'd be doing nothing but bounty hunting. I wouldn't bother with the sightseeing or the stuff. Yeah, $6 billion for a single mission. Well, let's see. Do they still have that up, or is it gone? No, it's gone now. But since I'm here, though, I'll point out that there is a mission that you'll see here that says Suspect Apprehension Certification. This is a bounty hunting mission for other players. You see, sometimes players are bad people, and they do bad things. Criminal things, like blowing up innocent traders, or attacking government installations, or just, the good old-fashioned murder. And when you do these horrible... Yeah, humans are bad? What? I knew you'd be shocked. Now, depending on the crime done, you might be lucky and just have a fine, and you can pay that off at these terminals here. I have no outstanding fines because I am as pure as the driven snow. Stop laughing. However, if you've done horrible things, you will get criminal status. And criminal status goes from a value of 1 to 5. Once you have criminal status, I want to say 3. It might be 2, but I know 3. Once you get to that, suddenly they will start calling bounties on you, where players will go after you to make money. Suddenly, you become worth more to them dead than alive. If that happens, then you're going to have to... Well, the person who has the bounty on them has a couple options. First, they can kill off the people chasing them. Perfectly possible. They could be flying a starship that is brutal, to say the least. Like aforementioned hammerheads. They may choose to remove their criminal status by going to a security terminal and hacking the computers and erasing their criminal misdeeds. Or they can do what happened to Cap, apparently, which is basically get caught, blown up, and wind up in prison. Doing time at the Mines at Klesher Rehabilitation Facility. And there will likely be a stream on that somewhere along the line, because it is remotely possible that I have done some horrible things occasionally, and it is quite possible I will do some horrible things in the future as well. There was a time not horribly long ago where I basically invited that sort of thing because I was really hacked off of some of the bugs, so I might have rammed a ship into an outpost building from roughly 5 kilometers out and wrecked the place. Then went after security starships with a vengeance because they annoy me, and I was annoyed at them. And then attempted to bring down a communications satellite where where the law finally caught up with me and slammed me into prison. Now, prison has its own little surprises too, because in those particular cases... Oh, why did I do that? I wasn't thinking. Yeah, oopsie indeed. Because if you're in prison, there are 3 ways of dealing with prison. One is to serve your time, which usually can go from 15 minutes to 12 hours. And that's all in real time, too, so technically speaking, you can log off for the night in prison, and when you get back online the next evening, you'll be free. But most people hate doing that sort of thing. They'll either do some stuff in the prison that will get them time off for good behavior, basically earning these merits, or they can do what Cap wants to do and escape. And escape requires a little bit of help because, well, it doesn't necessarily guarantee that you need help, but you're probably going to need help. Because there's no way off of the prison without a spaceship. But there are ways to get around it. Come on, how much time do we have? 12 seconds. Good. Tick tock, tick tock. You'll see that the timer on my bounty is still going for the bounty missions I've taken, so we're not done with them yet. Sadly, the only way to repay an asteroid for what it's done to you is by taking a mining ship. And even then, it's only certain asteroids you can do it to, so... That particular asteroid got away with murder. Asteroids, sadly, do not get crime stat. So I will not be able to hunt the asteroid. Okay, Hangar 9, if I was paying attention correctly. And I was. The nicest thing about some of the newer patches were the addition of the hangar to the name of your ship. So that, if you're like me and have a habit of forgetting what hangar you went into, you're not completely hosed. I have to check 12 different hangars to find out if my ship is in there. The game just continues to improve. Alright. Let's power everything on. Oh, and the radar actually worked for a change. Link up my guns. Open up communications. Let me out, let me out. Gotta go, real life stuff. That's okay, we're good with lurking. Thank you for joining. Thanks for watching and listening. Always glad to have you stop by. I will be here again roughly this time next week too, so... And you can see my schedule on my channel page too, because this is not the only day I do any streams. And off we go. It is now time to pay back those horrible criminals. Okay, to be honest, I can't really blame the horrible criminals on that one. The asteroids were what killed me, not anything they did. I am almost out of atmosphere. I'll give myself a steeper climb here. And I am out. Time to quantum jump. And since I already had the route set before, I'm going to do it again. Although admittedly, the route I have set right now is not the target that I was going to be going after originally. But don't worry, we'll get back to him soon enough.
Quantum drive is now on. Landing gear raised.
Oops. Oh, yeah, that would explain why I wasn't able to go as fast as I thought I should be going when I was leaving the atmosphere. I didn't have my landing gear up, which meant my wings were folded up. Oops.
Is now off.
Oh well, nobody's perfect. Least of all me. I do not delude myself into believing that I'm an ace pilot. Don't let these bounty missions fool you. An AI opponent is not exactly what I would call the most intimidating opponent to fly against. Unless, of course, you're flying an Aurora with, size 1 weapon and shields and you're going up against Valkyries. Okay, while we're here, we're going to set the other target so I can make the quick getaway. And maybe this time I won't materialize inside of an asteroid. Or maybe that should be the asteroid materializing around me. When these things happen, you just have to tell yourself, it's an alpha. It's an alpha. It's an alpha. The Star Citizen mantra. It's a good way to maintain your sanity in situations much like this. And I am pointing at the wrong area at the moment because I want to be looking at over here where my current target is hiding. Somewhere. We'll come a little closer. And there he is, somewhere. Oh, big asteroid there. Let's not ram into him. Target, Hurricane. Hurricanes are pretty nasty right now because they've got the scatter guns. And I did mention something about the scatter guns being slightly buggy right now. So we're going to be testing the maneuverability of the arrow substantially today. Good news, though, is that the Hurricanes are not exactly what you would call the most durable starships out there. Although he seems to be durable enough.
Shields
Oh,
hit.
that took a hit.
Shields full. Target destroyed.
Target destroyed. Spool up the quantum drive and go to the next target. And I shouldn't have to wait because those guys had spawned in when I had my little accident. And I want the target that has there we go. Now it's kind of dark at the moment, so I can barely see that asteroid there, but there is an asteroid there. Flying the Valkyrie. Let's chuck a missile at him. Oh, and he slapped down some decoys. I don't know if you saw that there, but that's what I like to see. Opponents that think. Of course, I still have more missiles, but I'm also too close to use them. Missiles are not point-blank weapons. Down. And unfortunately, I did not prep for this one. Not surprising, since, I didn't expect the problem here. So hurry up, spool up. Jump. And that allows me to go after the final target at the moon of Magda. And after that, we will have earned 60,000 credits. Which means I'll effectively earn enough money to rent an arrow 3 times. Now, it's worth mentioning that there are bounties available at other locations. Specifically, the world of Crusader, the gas giant. And they have their own reputation as well. So we're basically looking at reputation gained from Hurston, from Crusader, and the guys who are doing these group bounties, North Rock. This is basically the earliest iteration of the reputation system. More will be happening as development continues. And it will be interesting to see how they make that work. Alright, final target and big asteroid here, so let's try to get clear of this. Love flying the arrow. Really do. A lot of folks see it as the second best light fighter in the game, second to the Gladius. However, that distinction has gone back and forth a number of times, so I would say that they're pretty close to each other. Now, if I were an evil scumbag bounty, where would I be? Well, clearly I'd be somewhere around here because that's where the bounty target is. And there we are, 8.5 kilometers away and closing. Let's see if I can avoid hitting an asteroid. That'd be a really lousy way to close things up. In fact, that's taking this long. Hurricane again. Again, armed with those scatter guns, so they can be pretty vicious. That said, while I'm not the best pilot out there, I'm certainly more than good enough to handle a hurricane. Of course, now that I've said that, I'll probably blow up. Oh, I'm so cynical. A little more. He's not going to be around much longer, and that is it. Well, let's get some free cash. That's interesting. Apparently I have free cash coming in all directions. Let's go over this guy first. Vanguard work. One of those heavy fighters I mentioned earlier, the rental terminals. They can take a hit, they can dish out a hit. My goal is to not get hit. Ooh. That was just a little too close. Speaking of too close, yeah, it's not like I'm trying to hit these guys. I really am not. It's just that I'm maneuverable and they aren't, and things just happen, you know? I'm faster than they are. I'm more maneuverable than they are. I wind up on their hind ends more often than not. Come on, blow up, blow up, blow up. Now see, if I'd overclocked this I would probably not be able to put this large stream of fire on him. Of course, it's also possible that I might have already blown him up by now.
Check fire.
Could go either way. 1,000 for this target. Another warden. Oh, too close, too close. Don't want this guy to crash into me. Oh, don't want to crash into this either. There's a lot to keep track of sometimes in these dogfights. Gotta watch for asteroids, gotta watch for debris, gotta watch for the guy who's shooting you. I find myself cringing when these guys are coming up above me with those near misses. I find it odd this guy hasn't taken many shots at me. I mean, certainly flying around and evading pretty well. But I would think that shooting at me would desync. When the server does not play nicely with the client, desync happens, and well, you got these guys jumping around. I really thought he was going to smash into that asteroid there. I really did. Oh, I think he was firing there. Not much longer, I think. Flashing a lot upon the fire here. There probably isn't much left to him. I think I've blown off a wing. Nope. Nope, he's still intact. It's his body that I seem to have hammered.
Check fire.
And just like that, bad guy is gone. Alright. At this point, I think we'll take the ship back to Everest Harbor to park it, so to speak. And once we're there, we will take stock of where our money stands. Didn't exactly hardcore it today. We had a little bit of a blip there with the rental terminals, so wasn't able to get the arrow right away. Then kind of blew up a few times. The first time was understandable. I was in the Aurora. I was against the Valkyrie. Exploding against the Valkyrie with an Aurora, not surprising. But then the rental terminal started working, and I was able to rent this arrow. And we've done a pretty good demonstration on what it's capable of doing. And the important thing it was capable of doing was handling the very high-risk targets and making that money. Still, though, it did take a while to do. And that is why next week, what's likely to happen is that we will try to rent out the Vanguard Warden and see how that stacks up in the quest for more money, as the yogurt from Spaceballs would say. Yes, that's a deep cut, I know. There's probably a number of people out there who have never heard of Spaceballs, never seen the movie, wouldn't get half the jokes. Hey, these are the kind of things that happen when you get old. Okay, where's my communications array?
Please proceed to assigned landing bay.
Landing bay being somewhere. Oh, there we are. Just love hearing all these radar pings as each and every one of these turrets are quote-unquote discovered. I'm going to cut the cruise control, raise my height, drop my landing gear, lower my velocity.
Landing gear deployed.
And auto land.
Landing initiated.
And if this were a ship I were going to be using more of, I would refuel, restock, rearm.
Landing complete.
But I only rented it for the day and really only for today's stream, so I'm not rearming and repairing or refueling anything. Alright, let's take a look at where things stand. We now have 3,944,114 UEC credits. So we have clearly made bank today. Now the real question is, how much bank did we make? Let's see, 3,944,114. So we have made a grand total of, drumroll please. Oh, hold on, actually that's didn't work. I need to, there we go. Our new grand total will be coming up on the screen as soon as I get rid of these irritating decimal points. 263,287 UEC profit. How's that? We have effectively jumped up from 136 to 263. We are well on our way to working towards the Cutlass Starship. And we are at the 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern hour, which means we have hit the end time of today's stream. I will be streaming again next week in Star Citizen, continuing the Aurora MR challenge. We will be likely testing out the Vanguard Warden and see how that helps us with making cash. If we're really lucky, we'll be able to hit a lot of those group very high-risk bounties in rapid periods of time and make rapid amount of profit, hopefully. It will begin at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern to approximately 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern. I also do streams on Wednesday nights for Star Trek Online, where I'm going through the Delta Quadrant missions. That stream will begin at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern to approximately 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern. With all that in mind, I want to thank you all for watching. I'm always glad to have people in the stream, either live or, with the recordings later, either here or on my YouTube archive. With that, I bid you all a good afternoon. This is Korath Landwalker, signing off.